Fresh off a weekend of vacations, family get-togethers, trips to Vermont, apple picking, brewery visits, and whatever else they needed to do to get away from football and get their minds and bodies right, the New England Patriots, 1-2 on the young 2024 season, are back to practice this week. Everybody with a slide card of a mirror handed out from Coach Gerard Mayo, as well as a victory ball. That's right. You get a game ball. No, you get a game ball. Oprah came into the locker room and gave everybody game balls for the Cincinnati game. Sadly, ever since everybody got a game ball, they have had their asses handed to them. Well, no, it's starting in the second half of the Seattle game. Be that as it may, the Patriots not in a great spot right now, giving up the most quarterback pressures, not only in the league, perhaps in the history of the NFL. And now they get to fly all the way to the West Coast, to the Marine Layer, to take on a 1-2 San Francisco team that's pretty angry right now. And they're only 10.5-point favorites, playing all of their backups against the Patriot starters. As we like to say here, Andy, on the Six Rings podcast, not great, Bob. Not great.
Whoa. I'm going to flip the script. Did you watch the Jaguars suck?
Oh, I most certainly did. Andy Hart at Jumbo Hart from the afternoon show on EEI.
Who's on the Patriots schedule in a month?
I got to wait a month to possibly have a chance to win a football. Actually, you know what? All things considered, Miami looks just like the photo of the punter.
That kind of grossed me out.
Who was that, by the way?
Like, way too much rounds on the internet. No, I'm not looking for that.
It was a hairy dude's ass hanging out. The only time I ever saw that happen. Football, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Exactly. Remember that time
Gronk whole was getting perspective on the game?
Gronk was getting not many aspirations for that guy. So who was the guy? It was Rashawn Melvin, who had a cup of coffee with the Patriots. He tried to tackle Gronk once, and like we saw half a Gronk ass one time. And I was like, that's more Gronk than I need to see. Like, I'd rather he act an ass, not see it. Who was that from Miami who just gave full double cheeks?
Oh, I don't even know. I
don't either.
Scroll through as quickly as possible because I didn't want my algorithm picking up like, hey, you paused on a man's ass, and now I'm going to send you 17 man's asses.
I don't think it was Berrios. I don't know. It wasn't Skylar Thompson. Like I'm not quite sure who it was. All I know is that all of a sudden my feed was just full of cheek, and I thought, well, that's that. You know what? In a lot of ways, that was endemic of how this entire football season is going. Because, and we'll get into this again. This is the latest Six Rings and Football Things podcast, brought to you as always by WEEI, Odyssey, and 2400 Sports with Fitzy and Hart here. On today's program, hey, if I watch Jaden Daniels do it on Monday Night Football, why can't they let Drake May do it next? We'll tell you exactly why that's not going to work. As much as we would like to see it, he ain't quite ready. Some of the other rumblings and bumblings going on with the Patriots right now. As well as just how historically bad this receiving core, because of the quarterback, because of the offensive line, is playing right now. Andy, we're going to have to try to fix it, and we only get a couple minutes time. So I heard on the radio that a bunch of the players took the weekend off. They refreshed themselves. They took some trips, whatever, to get away from football for a few days.
It was like a Southwest commercial. Remember those old Southwest commercials? They could have just played the Patriots game and then said, want to get away? And then get away for the weekend.
Do you want to come back? Nope. I don't, because I don't want to have to fly to San Francisco, even though they have the same record as the Patriots and are playing a lot of backups. Who's going to cover Juwan Jennings? Okay, put Christian Gonzalez on him. Everyone else is still going to find it.
Let's put the 114th rated cornerback in the NFL on their hot receiver.
Juwan Jennings had a day, and Brandon Ayuk is going to feed at some point, and I just don't want him to do it against the Patriots. But let's take a step back right now and just sort of take a grander surveying of the landscape. As we were saying, Jacoby Brissett, who, of course, once again, as we were told by head coach Gerard Mayo, gives the Patriots the best chance to win. Alex Van Pelt said the best way for the Patriots to groom Drake May is to sit him down. So that's
use
great.
That word anymore. I feel like we need to get rid of that word in light of certain scandals.
Yeah.
Grooming of people for certain things.
Question from delusional Patriots fan. Is Alex Van Pelt using a choice wheel to call plays? I'm not going to
pick on the nice man.
I'm not going to pick on Van Pelt. This isn't his fault. He didn't build this offensive line. I hate to say it. You're right now, Patriots fans. Your frustrations should be pointed at two places: Elliott Wolf and ownership, because they in
Just
cahoots.
Wolf.
I,
Just Wolf.
I have a feeling that they probably thought at the same time, like, that's fine. We don't need to spend the money.
Stick your feelings up your keister.
What do you
It's
mean?
Wolf.
Feelings up my. It's all Wolf.
Yes.
Elliott Wolf is the bad guy.
I don't know if he's a bad guy, but he's the guy that made some poor decisions.
Okay.
And I really think it's only one decision.
Mhm.
One singular decision to just ostrich the left tackle position, to just bury his head in the sand and be like, no, it'll be fine. We got these guys. I mean, if you can play right, you can play left. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. It all makes perfectly logical sense. Doesn't work that way, Elliot.
It doesn't.
Like, I really do believe that was because I've heard all these, I get you people calling between 2 and 6, and I appreciate you people calling between 2 and 6. It does make the show go by
So
nicely.
those 4 oh, so how convenient. Those 4 hours of the day you like us people, but the rest of the other 20 waking hours.
We all need like foils, right? We all need antagonists and protagonists and go back and forth with. But I've heard you didn't spend any money. You cheat. Who did you want to spend money on? Like that you could get. That's the combo. Spend money and could get. Because there was one option, I believe, at the tackle position, and that's Jonah Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He signed for nothing. You could have got him. He's a left tackle. I don't know how good he is. He might have been a high-priced backup in a year. We've talked a little bit about that before. Tyron Smith, I don't believe, was ever coming here. I don't think he was joining a team expected to have the number 1 pick in the draft. That wasn't going to work. Or even star players like Saquon Barkley. I don't think he was coming here. I don't think there was a shot in hell he was going to New England. Like,
he's got a choice setup right there with his 5 touchdowns through 3 games on a team where the quarterback does not look like a shell of his former self yet once again. And the coach is steering him. Like the coach is quickly steering that ship ashore.
Oh yeah. That's on we have a new segment called Bill Watch, set to the theme of Baywatch, where we keep an eye on all the potential landing spots. And then in the background on Twitch, we have Bill running in slow motion with certain things bouncing on the hill.
Is it that photo of him? Running on.
No, it's actually him running the hill, and you can see certain things gravity wise going up and down. As
I was gonna say, are you using those photos of him years ago where he and Linda were on? It was Barbados Belichick. That's what Mark James.
Nope.
Barbados Belichick. Thank you, Mark James.
We've
he was in the same outfit Daniel Craig was in from Casino Royale.
Didn't come off the same way, did it?
Not funny. It just didn't come off the same. And Linda didn't really look like Halle Berry either.
But yes, the Eagles are a potential landing spot if you're watching that list. Certainly the Cowboys are a potential landing spot. But the point is, that was a Super Bowl contender, perceived. And guys like Saquon Barkley or Tyron Smith, like they want to go to places where they have a chance to win because they're going to get paid in a few different places. They're going to have opportunities to get paid, and the Patriots aren't in that world. But just the pure, could you have signed Jonah Williams? Yeah, he went to Arizona. You and Arizona are both bad teams. He was going to go to a bad team for a decent contract. It could have been New England, or draft a left tackle. You took Caden Wallace and said, no, he can play left tackle. He'll be somehow somebody who had LT next to his name should have been acquired. Probably more than one. Probably
invaded the entire operation. Matt Groh, Wayne Groh, for all you Heat fans, Elliott Wolf, Sam Wolf, doesn't matter. Nobody thought it was a good idea to bring in a veteran left tackle or a young hotshot left tackle. Andy, I've regurgitated these stats on the radio. I'm sure you guys have coursed over them. I put them in the Sunday 7 at WEI.com. I want to say it again. Right now, the New England Patriots, the quarterback position, Ben Volen had this in his little notes column this morning, Tuesday, in the Boston Globe as well. Jacoby Brissett has been a leader in 2 of his 3 starts in the NFL so far this season in the most ignominious statistical. That's right. Jacoby Brissett has led the NFL in quarterback pressure rate 2 of 3 weeks. He is on pace to be pressured every other drop back this season if he continues to play, number 1. Number 2, he is on pace to be sacked over 50 times. Disgusting in the modern era. And I'm sure the hits he'll take along the way as well will only enhancify, if I may make up a word on the fly, will only enhancify or horrify the poor man's frame. He already looks 80 getting up out of a rocking chair every time the guy gets up off the ground. The pain this man must be in right now, he must feel like he's been in a car wreck on a daily basis, the poor bastard. And then on top of it all, the fallout from this, with everyone keying in on the power running game You saw that clip of Burt Breer saying, "Oh, I've talked to other coaches, and people say the Patriots really have an identity with being hard nosed and tough and power running, and they look a lot like Cleveland." Great. Cleveland's also 1-2 and has absolutely no offense. The New England Patriots are on pace to throw for 957 yards to the receiver position combined this year. There's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. They will not have 1,000 yards to the wide receiver position if they keep this shit up. That's how bad it is. I got it out early. Just roll with it.
Call it crap.
No, this is shit. This is some shit. This is some shit.
Some ish.
This is it. No, I'm not on the FM radio. This is a podcast.
Jesus. No, I agree with you. And the offensive line now, Joey Siwa, 1987.
Yes, we can trust Elliott Wolf.
They've made a lot of mistakes at the offensive line position, right? This isn't just an Elliott Wolf problem. This has gone back years, whether it's Isaiah Wynn or Cole Strange. If you had nailed Isaiah Wynn and Cole Strange, your line would look different, right? You'd have a Pro Bowl, whatever, Pro Bowl left tackle. You didn't. You used first-round picks on two guys that you right now are getting 0.0 out of. One is long gone and hard to find. The other is and the other is still around, but I'm not sure anybody wants him around. I don't know what he'll be when he gets healthy. Certainly he's not a left tackle. He's maybe a guard. I've posed the idea of moving him to fullback in a Jim Harbaugh style.
Cole Strange?
Maneuver. Yeah.
We have talked about that here before, but say it again louder for the people in the back. The haters are the ones that have the earplugs in or just maybe the hard of hearing. Cole Strange would make a much better fullback than he would. I've interviewed the man live at the stadium for several events before. Andy, he's just like a slightly taller you who got off Awaken 180. He is not ready to play guard in the NFL.
Right. And he's I don't know how good he is. That's the other thing. Like talent-wise, even if you say, okay, he's guard, whatever. I mean, there was a reason that Sean McVay was laughing at the Patriots and Bill Belichick when they selected Cole Strange in the first round. So this is an issue that goes back years that they haven't properly addressed, fixed. There's a coaching component. We all probably got lulled into a false reality of a guy who could take Ryan Wendell and Russ Hochstein and Billy Yates and just name practice squatter here and put them in.
Dan Connolly, Stephen Neal.
Right. Scar is a legend for a reason. Scar is roundly considered arguably the greatest offensive line coach in the history of the game for a reason. He took chicken crap and made chicken salad. Now, some of that was built around mainstays and kind of like, okay, we got our tackles. Now we got to figure out guard or center or whatever. But that's why right now the offensive line ruins the analysis of everything. Jacoby Brissett, Ramondre Stevenson, Alex Van Pelt, the quarterbacks, whoever are going to be in there. And we knew this. Didn't we say this all along? Didn't we say this all along?
I've said it for 2 years on this effing podcast.
The offensive line is going to be a talking point in the summer, the fall, the winter, the spring.
Here's one of my favorite lines from one of our regular viewers, Jordan Watson from Facebook. Instead of Gillette advertising on the offensive line jerseys, it should be OnlyFans for all the sacks they allow.
Jesus.
We're here and it just turned fall 2 days ago. Honest to God, Jordan, well done. Thank you for the levity. And we appreciate all the commentary coming in live as we record this on the podcast version. If you haven't subscribed, Spotify, Apple Pods, use the Odyssey app or wherever you find awesome football talk. Regular P1 at the old station, Dakota and Braintree, Mr. Sports Talk in town. The pressure rate could also be indicative of defenses knowing Brissett is limited, so the defense can blitz like crazy. The Jets are one of the least blitzing teams, yet they blitzed at a high snap rate or one of their highest snap rates the other night as well. Yeah, it's also just not only that Brissett is limited, but all they do is they can only run. I mean, there was like one or two dynamic pass plays the other night where they went downfield. He tried to go downfield to Thornton. They got a pass interference. They still pissed away that opportunity. And then he had Austin Hooper on that nice crosser, missed him by a good 5 yards.
Can't do it.
You can't do that. Like the passing game is so. God,
and that's part
so
of it.
bad.
It's not just the O-line. The blitzing is they don't fear anybody because generally blitzing, you get rid of the ball quickly. You throw to a one-on-one matchup where you know your guy is the better guy, whatever. They don't have any of that. They have nothing to work with. And that's why I struggle to put too much on Alex Van Pelt's plate in terms of blame pie. It goes back to the line, and it just ruins everything. And that's on Elliott Wolf. I'm not putting it anywhere else. And we had a question earlier that came through, like, so based on that, do you trust Elliott Wolf? Well, I have to right now. Like, I have to assume he has a long-term plan. I have to assume he can, fix this, because there was no way he was going to fix everything in one offseason. You and I talked a lot about it. The dream scenario was, oh my God, he could possibly get a quarterback, a tackle in the second round, a wide receiver in the third, and it fell apart. There was a run on tackles. Now, he could have traded up. I'm not totally discounting his ability to, oh crap, read the draft, read the room, see what the hell's going on. I got to get one of these guys or we are porked. He didn't. So he was a willing participant in that, but it was unrealistic to think they were going to check off all those boxes in 1 year. And that's why everybody's fixating on Will Campbell, or I got to learn the other guy's name, the Texas A&M kid or whatever.
I'm sure some of those tackles are going to be great next year as well. We still have 14 more football games, and I'm very comfortable saying it's only going to be 14 games for the remainder of the 2024 season to make our way through.
Just tap out like somewhere around like Thanksgiving, be like, hey, we'll just give us losses in the last few. We know.
I was going to say, what do you want to do? You want to make this a podcast about like premium TV, top 40 music, parental trends? Sure. I'm up for whatever.
Oh, sure. Oh, Christmas season. I'll be, maple whiskey eggnogs make me entertaining.
So that's the key. Okay. All right. So I have to wait 2 more months for that. Side note, sorry. I saw eggnog on the shelf yesterday in the supermarket. It was the first day of fall. What are we doing? It's too early. That is the equivalent of having Halloween candy on the shelf in July. What the F is wrong with people?
Well, I love the places that have both. Like I go to BJ's and they have the inflatables. What was that face for? I like BJ's.
I think BJ's is the most inappropriately named store. It's a lie.
I'm a big fan of BJ's.
I do get a lot of things. I do get big box when I go there to BJ's, but no.
Jesus Christ. But they have inflatables right in the front for Halloween and Christmas.
Patriots offensive line for us having to work this blue this early in the season. Go ahead. No, you're right.
What else are we going to talk about?
It's so
about
no.
The line.
You're
10 minutes on the line. Hey, Claire, we're trying to have fun here.
I just had to buy I just had to buy 2 giant new inflatables as well. The budget for September is absolutely destroyed because the kids love the giant inflatables.
What'd you get?
I got this ghost that looks like it's coming out of the ground. And then I got a big tree with pumpkins and ghosts, and it has an owl because my younger boy loves owls. So, nice. And we already have a mini skeleton. We have a giant Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas. Plus, we have tombstones. It's pretty neat. And my lawn looks like garbage, so it literally looks like a graveyard.
Oh, perfect. Scare the kids, get some candy. Let's have some fun. Bury the Patriots in your front lawn.
I love Claire. What are we doing? Claire, we're just trying to have some fun. And I love you very much, Classy C. Look, it's just, you're right. I think the grandest takeaway so far from the team is not like Gerard Mayo and the whole like fewer hard ass vibes, collaborative environment, down go the silos. I don't care about all that. I don't care about so many other elements about this team. The offensive line issue is so bad.
How bad is it?
It's so it has ruined everything. You're right. We cannot fairly evaluate how good a coordinator Alex Van Pelt is. We don't know if Brissett would actually be able to run a competent offense. We don't know how good this run game could be. I can't tell you if Jalen Polk, let alone KJ Osborne, Kayshon Boutte, or anybody else is a pro level wide receiver because no one has time to get open. It's such a crap show. I cannot believe. So we had a comment earlier from a regular at the stadium, my buddy Vin Sav III. He said, "Do you really think, why would Wolf set himself up for failure? His job depends on the team's success. Unless he, like Mayo, has some sort of guarantee where he's like, don't worry about it. You guys, you're all here for 3 years. We're going to give you, Van Pelt, everybody. You're all here to get the kid ready. No one's going anywhere. There's a guarantee. If we fire you, you get double, unless there's some crazy, behind the scenes rider or contract that guarantees them the comfort and security. I don't know what the hell they were thinking about this offensive line because everyone else on planet Earth except them knew this was going to be a craptacular."
Well, which is one question I wanted to ask. Don't let me forget that. I want to come back to that question. But
yes,
just
sir.
To answer it, I think he thought he was doing the best he could with the circumstances at hand. And I think the idea is, okay, the left tackles went on a run in the draft. There weren't really any in free agency. I don't know the answer for the Jonah Williams thing, why he didn't fit, but anybody else didn't really make sense. Okay, so we'll piece it together cheaply, even with Caden Wallace, who, if he can't play left tackle, he's probably our right tackle of the future, the position he played in college, which means we bump Onwenu back to his real position of guard. I think he knew almost regardless of what he did, he'd be looking for a left tackle next year. And for example, if he trades up for a tackle he doesn't love, let's say, I think Patrick Paul was the kid out of Houston.
Or Kingsley Suamatia, the guy that's playing left tackle for the Chiefs now.
But if he stinks and he's evaluating him and he's like, I don't think that guy's a left tackle in the NFL. I'm going to be looking for a left tackle next year, and I've wasted a pick on him. So I think he was trying to piece it together best he could. And I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here a little bit, obviously, and just sort of reading the tea leaves. But I don't think he was intentionally undercutting himself or the team. I think he looked at a terrible situation where he said, no matter what, this is not going to work out great. What's the best way I can get through this? I also think he's looking at it through a 2-year lens. And he said, I'm going to have to get a tackle next offseason, no matter what. So what do I do this year? Because I don't want to waste money. I don't want to do things that I regret with draft picks or money now that hurt my ability next spring to actually fill the void, to actually do something productive for the offensive line. That's why I think every time they've talked, whether it's Robert Kraft, I don't know what our record's going to be. And I think there's some rough seas ahead. And Gerard Mayo saying, we're going to win games. I don't know if it's this year or next.
Thank you. And where does that come from, by the way? Because last I heard, it was, I expect to have a competitive football team. It's been 3 years since we've gone to the playoffs.
Man. He can look at the roster like we can and say, wow, this team's not very good. We're not going to compete this year. And now if you don't approach that honestly, you're kind of a fraud, right? So I think he's being honest. I think they're being honest. I think there's a lot of people that didn't want to be honest. Radio hosts in this town that were predicting 10 wins and everybody getting icky baluki. I think fans, some were acceptant, but some were trying to lie to themselves or talk it up.
Here's a good question from a new viewer, Bramble Bray 2421, watching us live on YouTube. Were Daboll to get fired at the end of the season? And I don't think he's going to be, because the Giants are a missed field goal away from being in first place in the NFC East, believe it or not. If they are actually an injured kicker away, would you put him on speed dial to be offensive coordinator?
I would. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think we saw some of the fruits of his labor last night with Josh Allen. I think he helped build that unstoppable monster that is Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. I love how all the Patriots fans take victory laps every offseason and say Josh Allen can't win and Josh Allen lost weapons and Josh Allen's not that good. And all Josh Allen does is go out and win the AFC East year after year. This will be 5 straight years if he wins the AFC East and he's well.
By the way, this looks like Joe Brady seems the best fit since Daboll. The Ken Dorsey experiment did not work. They are mixing in the run pat. They're putting less on his shoulders, his big, broad, handsome shoulders. I actually really like the complement of receivers they've assembled.
I think that's the key. I honestly do. I think they're putting less physically demanding in some ways on Josh Allen, but more mentally demanding and saying, you don't have a number one. You have 5 guys that are good. You have Kincaid and Shakir and all these guys. And I think for a defense, it makes it difficult. You don't have to take away Stephon Diggs, for better or worse. You don't have to take away Stephon Diggs. You got to take away everybody, because you could throw to anybody from any spot on the field at any time. And I think that's helped them. But Brian Daboll's part of that development story. Mm-hmm. Another quick takeaway ties into Brian Daboll, the Giants. So you watch Daniel Jones. That Malik Neighbors looked pretty good, right? He looked like
you mean the first receiver under 21 years? Was it youngest receiver to ever have 2 or 3 multiple touchdowns this early? Whatever the stat is, and he's freaking awesome.
And then I watched last night, and everybody, rightfully so, is a big fan of Jaden Daniels' performance last night.
We already had a commenter say, thanks for making that kick on Christmas Eve, Chad Ryland. That cost us Jaden Daniels. Daniels would still be running for his life behind this line.
And would he be bringing Terry McLaurin with him? Because I saw Terry McLaurin making plays that I don't see any Patriots receiver making.
No.
So
he came back. Scary Terry came back to life for the first time in 2 years last night.
Everything we knew about the Patriots offense, not measuring up on the offensive line and not having a number one target, is evident every time we watch other games. They don't have an offensive line that can protect. Now, there's other teams that have that issue, but every time I watch a quarterback make plays, I feel like the back end of it, a lot of times, is not Josh Allen, by the way, I think the Patriots kind of have a receiving corps similar to the Bills. They have a bunch of guys that are pretty good, but Josh Allen makes them special. But Neighbors and McLaurin and these guys that are making suspect quarterbacks look good or young quarterbacks look good.
Calvin Austin catching a touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Marvin Harrison Jr. going off.
Where's the playmakers for the Patriots? And we knew this. We knew the line was going to stink, and we knew that they didn't have any number one receiver.
Javon Baker is a project or an experiment. Jalen Polk is a possession receiver. He's store brand Amari Cooper at best. KJ Osborne, I literally don't know what this guy does. I quite honestly,
this is disrespectful, but he is to me the epitome of like a jag, just a guy. Like he's an NFL receiver. There's 32 teams that need 5 receivers. I truly believe KJ Osborne is one of the best 160 receivers in the NFL. He's accomplished more physically than most people ever will. But that's all he is just a guy. Like, he's not going to elevate and you marry him up with like a couple good receivers and he'd be fine. But in this bunch of no one knows whose role is what, you get what you get, and you shouldn't get upset because you saw it coming.
And KJ Osborne made a nice play in the preseason when Drake Maye rolled around, threw a 45-yard dime, caught it, took it to the house. There was a penalty that took it back. Still, it was only pretend season action against the Commanders' second or third line. I just want to say to everyone once again, because I think you're going to get a ton of calls this week like this, especially coming off the Monday Night Football game where Jaden Daniels legitimately had a game for the ages. 21 of 23, almost 300 yards passing. That dime, 3 touchdowns, 1 on the ground.
Which dime? You said that dime. I was like, there were multiple
dimes. The one to McLaurin at game's end was beyond spectacular.
The 50-yarder to McLaurin earlier wasn't too bad either.
But he came into the NFL as advertised with the best deep ball in all of college football last year, and it's there and then some. It looks effortless. Like they got them one. How are we to ever? And that's the problem. They have enough of a line. There's more talent there. They can properly evaluate this kid. The Patriots cannot properly evaluate Drake Maye in game. Last week, 4 for 8, 22 yards, 2 sacks. And one of them, the first one, where he didn't see it coming,
was a wrestling finishing move. Like, he should have been pinned after that. It was a finisher.
How the F he got up after just getting driven into the turf at Death Life Stadium. Holy mackerel.
Because he's a dude.
He's a badass, really. But
man,
you're not going to get a proper evaluation until they fix that line, which means you're probably not going to get a proper evaluation anytime this year. And yet still, I'll bet you he starts week 5, mostly because of attrition at the quarterback position, because I don't think old man Brissett gonna make it. All right, what do you
get? Wait. I got a question.
Before we go to the next segment. Yes, sir. You, sir, in the South Coast. Yes, go ahead.
So, more predictable season-ruining decision.
Okay.
Matt Patricia being hired to run the offense, or Elliott Wolf's total dismissal of the left tackle position and belief that he could just make a journeyman right tackle veteran or a right tackle rookie on the fly a left tackle. Which was more predictable in ruining a season? Because I think it's quite clear both are going to, when we finish this year, have ruined seasons.
Oh, yeah, but the Matt Patricia thing, some of that was on Mac Jones as well. And there goes down goes Brady. Jeez, my wall is my backdrop is so disgusted with the season, it's falling apart like the Patriots. I would say the complete dismissal of the need for a proper left tackle and a hardy line. Okay. The Patriots offense at times in 2022 looked functional. Remember the first half on Thanksgiving night? You and I had to do a late post-game show. No Thanksgiving beers or nogs for us, supposedly.
Bitches.
And the Patriots were scorching Minnesota in the first half of that game. There were times that year that the offense looked good to really good. There were also times it looked bad. As we saw last night, Mac Jones still having some issues. But again, it's all about the line. He got crushed in Buffalo because the Jags don't have a good offensive line. It's really that simple. And that's why Jim Harbaugh succeeds wherever he goes. Because the first thing that pain in the ass that drinks whole milk does is goes and rebuilds the team from the trenches out. And then they kick the crap out of people and usually grind them down to his will. And the Patriots didn't do it. So I think this organizational dismissal of the need to build a proper offensive line is a football crime above all others. What do you say, Pats fans? What is your biggest concern? How upset are you that you're not going to get proper evaluations of your receivers and your backs, and most notably, your first-round quarterback because of the offensive line's issues? How much did it bother you watching Jaden Daniels ball out in his third game on national TV, even if it was against the Bengals? Hell, we beat the Bengals. These things and more, give us a shout at Six Rings Pod, at Jumbo Hart, and at Fitzy GFY. Let's move on to the second segment of the latest Six Rings and Football Things podcast. All right, Andy, let's get to them nugs. Let's get to those spicy nugs. Everything
nugs?
else we're talking. Yeah,
these saucy nugs.
I don't really love a saucy nug. I like a dry. I'm a dry nug guy.
Oh,
Give me the opportunity. I want to control the sauce level.
A good wet garlic and parm tender.
You're a B-dubs guy, right?
I like B-dubs, but they're not. There was a place called Wingworks at Tufts when I was in college that their garlic and parm, and it was just absolutely drenched in it. And they would give you chunks of like French bread so that when you were done with the wings, you would just
get in there. Just get in there.
Oh my God, it was the stuff dreams.
It's like if you're having mussels or something, or get down in there and that. Secret little fun. If you ever do, audience listening as well, if you ever do beer can chicken, where you right up there, season it well, 90 minutes on the grill in the pan. When the chicken's done and you remove the can of beverage from the beer, they RFI. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna. That's my favorite. Schmaltz Light.
Burn my insides.
Schmaltz Light is my favorite beer, Andy. Not Schlitz. Schmaltz. Get a little French bread in that dipping pan down there where the beer and the seasoning and all the rendered chicken fat goes. That is the best. Now we're turning into a food podcast because we don't want to talk about.
We might need to diversify. We're like the Patriots offense. We need to diversify.
There you go. Thank you, Joey. Nug porn. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Well, get ready because that's what we're going to be talking. All right. We have our first prediction for Sunday's game. Obviously, as the week goes, we will have J.R. Fabin's mad they still let Judon go. They should have brought in more veterans. The defensive line is hurting. Don't disagree with most of that. Burley Sullivan says Niners by 30 on Sunday. That's a confident prediction for the Patriots because
I'll take the points.
That may get. You think so?
I'll take the points. They're not going to lose by 30.
No, but they are 10.5-point dogs. We will give you a proper preview later in the week. We'll give you all of our favorite items behind enemy lines, our previews and predictions. Hopefully, we'll have some a little on the beat with Mego from the stadium later in the week. So all that good stuff. But this is not a great game for the Patriots to have to start preparing for because the Niners are going to be
nothing gets by you.
super, super angry. Not a great game.
They're not a willing foe. They're not just going to fall over and let you win.
Nope. I'd rather not play. I would have rather played last week's 49ers, the ones that gave up. Jeez, Claire, my God, what a mess. You know what I mean? Like last week's 49ers would be a different story because they got up and then they sort of like cruised. I don't think that's going to happen again, even though Kyle Shanahan is the Kyle Shanahan of blowing leads in the NFL, be it the postseason, regular season, whatever season. I think this team is going to be so pissed off Sunday. The Pats are going to get in their way. I don't know how in the world Mayo, in between handing out flashcards of mirrors and giving his, soulful pep talks, revealing murals and giving everyone game balls, is going to get this team ready to run through the brick wall they will need to on the other side of the country, whether or not Christian McCaffrey is in Germany getting his Achilles tendinosis looked at by some strange European specialist.
Shady.
Yeah, probably going to might do some pharmaceutical shopping at Ashley Manning, if you know what I mean.
I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But no, that is the one. So two things. If you're a Patriot fan holding out hope, you first, Gerard Mayo had a comment yesterday. The more he learns about his team, the more he realizes they just have to run the ball. Like, that's who they are. If they can't run the ball, they're in trouble. Don't fall over. It's reality. If they run the ball, they'll have a chance. And, well, if they run the ball and the person running with the ball holds on to said ball and doesn't give it to the other team at any point, they will have a chance. And then, there's a lot of injuries on the 49ers, and you hope that maybe that they're just banged up enough that it helps you. I mean, it's a bad spot. And that's why I thought last week was the worst possible spot to start Drake Maye. I think this is the second worst possible spot to start Drake Maye. I think that would be craziness. After this week, then we start to have that conversation. I've always circled that Dolphins game. I thought from day one that would be his first NFL start. We can get there, but you'd be doing a disservice to everybody involved. Now, he might have to play because there's a chance that those 49ers defensive front defenders hit Jacoby Brissett. And as you said, he's a tough son of a bitch, but at some point, even tough son of a bitches have trouble getting up. And I do worry about his health because he also challenged karma. I wouldn't have done this with him. Did you notice last week when he said, "I'm a big man, I always get up"? I'm like, don't say that.
Don't say that.
Knock on something.
Side note, we actually have exclusive footage of the Jets pass rush getting after Jacoby Brissett late in the third quarter of last Thursday night's 24-3 loss on Thursday Night Football. Holy smokes. It's a literal stampede every play. The man is pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. Good to hear they also got all those bulls wrangled up in North Attleboro. What are you people doing down there? God, you live a
Who knew they had rodeos in the Emerald Square Mall parking lot? I mean, I know malls were dying and everything, and they're trying new ways to find money, but
holy smokes.
What the hell's going on?
Holy smokes. All right, let's actually get to something Gerard Mayo said about what he saw out of Drake Maye. And by the way, I do not believe when they tell us week in and week out, Jacoby Brissett gives us the best chance to win. No, he doesn't. You just have a plan and you don't want to break your quarterback because you shit the bed on putting together the offensive line. I'm frustrated. Here's Gerard Mayo on WEI earlier this week talking about what he saw out of Maye.
Toughness. He took a couple of hits when he was in there. He also made some plays with his feet, which I thought was very encouraging. And just like, on the other side, just like any other, rookie quarterback or a quarterback without a lot of experience, there were times, you see him looking at the rush, and that's a natural thing. And he just has to get over that hump, and that comes with more playing time.
Looking at the rush, that's because the Patriots would keep 6 in to block 4 and 3 got through, as Michael Hurley pointed out on Twitter. The hell are you going to do? It's only natural to try to avoid your own demise. Am I correct? It's called self-preservation.
Yeah, and Jacoby Brissett has to do it too. Let's not just pretend that's a rookie thing. That Jacoby Brissett has to do it too. That's part of the struggles of the offense and the ability to get the ball to wide receivers and down the field, because self-preservation is probably the priority for Brissett and Maye.
It's gotten this bad this quickly, Andy. Here could be our comment of the day. Actriptau watching live on. It's a tough one, honestly. This guy watching live on YouTube. I'd rather, Andy, you people me in person than listen to Elliott Wolf snark on the podium as he creates that O-line. I have found Elliott Wolf to be a rather humble, polite, well-spoken. You think he's snarky?
I think he's been a little over the top with some of his comments. He also, and this he probably can't do anything about. So I preface this by saying it's totally unfair, but he has a little bit of a cock of the walk strut to him when you see the footage going on the practice field, or I saw it in person in the summer. He does. He struts around a little bit like a guy who, I don't know, John Lynch could, or somebody that built a Super Bowl contending roster that's loaded with talent. He hasn't done that yet. So I'd back off the strut a little bit, but there's probably nothing he can do. It's probably just the way he walks.
Yeah, it could just be natural posture and demeanor. Who knows? I mean, he's been around football. I'm not sure, Andy, if you've read. Chris Hogan played lacrosse.
He did.
Julian Edelman was a college quarterback.
Some bitch.
Yeah, and Elliott Wolf's dad used to work in football, and he grew up on the sidelines.
Someone should talk more about that.
You know weird. You know what yesterday was? Mo Lewis Day. I'm not sure if you knew that. No one talked about that either.
That's disrespectful to Drew Bledsoe.
Should they build? I know. By the way, I was rewatching that highlight yesterday as it recirculated, the 23-year anniversary. I missed them.
They're right there.
Okay.
I'm
sure you were right there.
And there's my feet. I was up
in the stands with my face painted and everything. I was so excited to be there that day. It was a big day.
I gave a little ooh when he hit him.
Aside from the fact that it sounded like a Nike Sasquatch driver pounding it like a Bryson DeChambeau drive on poor Bledsoe's chest. The one thing I forgot, he went back in the friggin' game.
Oh, yeah. And then he was removed, not for injury reasons. That's what got me in trouble in a fight with Bonnie Bernstein and CBS, because I was the CBS sideline contact. Didn't go well.
They were probably didn't. Yeah, no.
Screw
Let's see real quick. Couple other things. The NFL this season sucks. Quick question. It's obviously not. That's a great question from Joe McBride. Where would the Patriots offense rank in the Big Ten? I would put Michigan as a 2.5-point favorite over the Patriots right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Be a good slugfest, though. A lot of running the ball. It'd be a quick game, running clock.
Yeah, like it'd be a Greg Maddux football game, 2 hours or less.
Yep.
Do you believe
Clean
the
it up,
reason why
player.
the NFL is so chunky
Your DeChambeau drives to yourself.
is so clunky this year? Do you believe it's not because of Mel Kiper's too high safety routine? Do you think it's because of the lack of proper play, fundamental tackling, stars in the preseason like Terry Bradshaw does? Or I had a friend float a theory that he thinks the NFL is starting to show the signs of too many premium salaries at a couple of positions on team and not enough money spent on the middle class. And so now you're not getting very even play. It's kind of a little workshop hypotheses, if you will. It's hardly proven, so it's not a theory. But you know what I mean? Like,
I don't hate that idea. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I have a similar hypothesis, or whatever you want to call it. I think it is a combination of the dumbing down of offenses to become more college caliber offenses, things that Bill Belichick wanted to do. I think things that are how you accept younger players playing quicker. You dumb down the offense and don't hold them to Peyton Manning level knowledge or Tom Brady level knowledge. You just give them something they can digest. And if it's easy for them to digest, it's also easy for defenses to digest. And if you go back a week, there were defenders that were joking about how simple Bo Nick's offense was and how overly he had nothing to do, no options.
Was it Cam Britt Taylor who said last night after the Daniels game, like, that's a nice, that didn't go over very well. He says, like, a nice little college offense. Guess what? You have a super good college player who's able to operate that nice little college offense.
He may be special. And then the other part is, I think young athletic quarterbacks who try to not necessarily get by just on athleticism, it challenges their other skills. And I think there's a weird era of quarterbacks here. They're all dual threat quarterbacks. Virtually every quarterback that comes into the NFL these days is a dual threat quarterback. And then they try to be less dual thready, and coaches ask them to be less dual thready, stay in the pocket, throw from, and it's like, well, that's not really what I do. So the balancing of dual threat quarterbacks with dumbed down offenses, I think, make for worse offenses and better matchups for defenses.
And yet you got teams like, who's a big pleasant surprise? The Seattle Seahawks are 3-0. That's a pretty well-rounded football team.
We'll see. My guess is they'll be a 500 football team at some point in the next month.
Yes, and 10-7.
I think that's what they are, and that's fine.
The whole league is going to be 9-8. You're going to have a bunch of 10-7, 9-8 teams in the postseason this year. It's not going to fix itself anytime
soon. Who do you think will have a better record, the Seahawks or the Bengals?
Seahawks.
I think they'll probably have a very similar record. I think they'll both probably be around 500 when all is said and done. And one is 3-0. One's got a 3-game head start. One's 0-3. But I think there's a chance that they could. If you close your eyes, Andy sounds like Brian from Family Guy. When Fitzy does a British accent, he sounds like Stewie.
I do not sound like Stewie from Family Guy. Stop it, Lee Noons.
Screw you, Lee.
Yes. I shall not sit here for this commentary anymore, Lois.
You know what his first name is?
What?
Ugly Noons.
All right. This one's for you guys. Andy's in timeout corner for 5 seconds. All right, he's back. We got to wrap this one up. Andy, rifle through the last couple of questions here in Pat's Pre. The clubhouse leader on Bill Watch, your segment on the afternoon show. Who is the clubhouse leader right now, 3 games into the 2024 season, for the services of William Stephen Belichick next season as HC of their NFL team?
It's the football team owned by the man who is the greatest scout in the history of the world, because not only does he know height and weight, and 40 times he knows penis lengths. So Bill Belichick will be coaching the Dallas Cowboys, as Brandon Spikes, ironically, pointed out on Twitter.
Okay, you go with the Cowboys. I got to tell you, the whole Patricia McDaniels Belichick package to Jacksonville. Did you want to go with?
No
yeah,
chance. No,
really.
I don't see that happening. I don't see that being palatable for Bill Belichick.
Hey, Doug Peterson. Oh, you beat me in the Super Bowl, which is a load of crap. Now I'm going to take over your team, and I'm going to show you what you should have done with them in the first place.
Hey, great. I got a $60 million quarterback who blows.
What happened to Trevor Lawrence?
That's a great. You should do a segment on that on your new night show whenever that starts.
Yeah. Next week.
What happened to Trevor Lawrence?
You know what it's going to be? We're going to call it The Curious Case of Trevor Lawrence.
I'll listen on my ride home.
Okay. All right, there you go. The
Be happy
Curious.
to.
Thank you. Are you interested in the job as program director of?
Nope.
He's programming my show.
I got my hands
all right.
full right now as it is.
Rager to the Chargers. No one cares. And in case you guys missed this last night, Mac Jones got in the game for Trevor Lawrence, who we have to figure out why he stinks right now in the very curious case. Things didn't go so well for young Michael McCorkle Jones.
Jones pump fake, ball knocked loose, scooped up. Eventually fumbled and then scooped up. That's Casey Tuhill, a guy who's come off the bench here, made a big impact late in the game.
99 wanted that scoop and score so badly. He should have just fallen on the ball. I wish he had kind of gotten it. But Mac Jones, later on through what should have been a touchdown pass, his receiver dropped it. I'm sure he'll be pissed about that all week long. But not a great return to action for old Michael McCorkle right there, Andy. Jacksonville, is Jacksonville a bigger mess than Foxborough?
Oh, absolutely. Who would you rather be? I mean, I don't. They have a $60 million quarterback that they're not sure if he can play. At least we just have a first-round pick. We're not sure if he can play. It'd be much easier for the Patriots to get the hell out of Drake May than it will be for them to get out of Trevor Lawrence. What are we doing to Mac Jones? He fumbled. He's doing Mac Jones things.
That's a Mac Jones thing, guys. Exactly. He might be okay someplace, but like obviously, it's just not I guess it's not going back home. Hasn't been the right fit. We'll see over time. Doug Peterson has remained non-committal over who's going to be the starter next week as well. You could literally see Mac Jones versus Drake May could be a thing in London. If that's the case, I may buy a last-minute ticket and go over.
If that's the case, then London should ask for their money back.
Thank you, Joe McBride. The last thing we'll mention. Yes, Jacksonville's offensive line looked like garbage too. If you don't have a good line, you can't develop, you can't play, you're not going to win. Period. End of story.
So here's my theory. More parents need to fatten up their kids, make them play football, and we need more linemen coming through the pipeline. There's too many damn kids playing freaking 7-on-7 quarterback that think they're the next Tom Brady. We need more fat kids that want to be the next Hog Hannah.
And then this coming from our station's Awaken 180 spokesman, Andy Hart.
Dropped 30 pounds in less than a month.
You can do the whole Joe Thomas routine, the Sebastian Vollmer get cut up after your career as a fat guy. Good choice. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and wherever else you consumed our fabulous football talking product. And, of course, to those that subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and wherever else you find awesome football talk, we love having you as well. This has been the latest Six Rings and Football Things brought to you by WEEI, Odyssey, and 2400 Sports. Lots more to come this week. Stay tuned, you guys. It is our pleasure and our job to keep you, the best football fans in all the lands, as information-packed and prepared as always. Good job, Hart. You can listen to him on the afternoon show on WEEI along with Christian Arcan each and every day from 2 to 6. And you guys know where to find me on the Six Rings Pod, the post game, and usually at the bottom of a pint glass. Take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We love you. Good day. God bless.